Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. We are continuing on. This is part 3 of my December daily mini album. And today I'm going to be working on getting all the pages attached to the next 2 hinges in my book. So I am starting out here by getting my add-on page inserted. And this is a bag that is actually from the Snow and Cocoa collection. I pulled that out from my stash. And I also grabbed a large doily. This doily probably measures, I'm guessing, about 8 inches. So I had this in my stash. I actually think I got it at Target last year for Valentine's Day. So I want to have this bag attached as one of my pages so that I can keep some things, extra things inside it. But I didn't want to lose any portion of the actual bag when I make my score line. So I'm attaching this doily on the back. It's going to sort of be a two-fold. That'll be my next day, as well as this is how I'm going to attach the bag into my hinge. So I've used some score tape down the center of my doily and then added some art glitter glue around the edges. I will have to go in and add a little bit more just to make sure that gets stuck down nice and tight. And then once I have that pressed into place, I'm going to take my scissors and I will trim off about a 1/2 inch of that doily hanging over the edge. Here you'll see in a second. Oh, I'm going to trim the top of the bag here first, just to get that a little bit more even. And then my doily won't fit in there. So I'm just going to take my scissors and there I'm folding that back to see where my actual fold I would like that to be. And then I will cut about a 1/2 inch from the edge of that bag. That's how I'm going to attach the bag into my hinge. So I will lay this out here just like I've been doing with all the rest of these. And then I'll take my scissors and add that V in the center and get that trimmed out. I'm going to go ahead here and add some of my score tape down on top of the hinge. And I'll peel away the backing and press that doily into place. And I'm just going to check that. Now I'm going to get working on this flap that I'm going to add to my bottom folding page. I have once again trimmed this to 5.5 by 4 inches, and then I've scored that at the 5-inch mark. I'm going to add some score tape, peel away that backing, and I'm going to place this over the edge of my page. I'm going to trim off a flap that I'm going to place on the opposite side of my top page. There you can see I flipped everything over, so I've got my new 4 spread that I'm working on. And this I have trimmed to, this star paper is 5 by 3.5 inches, and I'm scoring that at 4.5 inches. Folding that over, again adding my score tape, and I will place that along the edge of my folding page. I'll pull in my corner chomper. Again, I'm using my 1/2 inch edge and just give a little curve to those outside edges. And just double checking there that I'm happy with my layout. I'm going to go ahead and add my score tape, a line at the top of the short edge, and the bottom of the short edge, and then along one of the bottom sides. And I'll do the same thing with my bottom page. Now we'll go ahead and get these attached to the hinge. Oh, first I'm going to add some little tabs so that I can add my inserts and get those pulled in and out a little bit easier. And then for this top page, I'm going to peel away the backing. I'll slide that underneath my hinge and press that into place. Then I'll peel away along the bottom and the opposite side and fold that over, enclosing the hinge inside my pocket. And I'll do the same thing for my bottom page. Now the bag, when I flip this back and forth, because that doily is so thin, I wanted to reinforce that fold just a little bit. So I've grabbed in some of this tree washi tape and just trimmed off a piece of that, tore off a piece of that, and I'm just going to place that down. So I've got it partially on the bag and partially on the spine of my album cover, and that's just going to help when I turn this back and forth to make sure that that doily doesn't tear. I'll go ahead and get some of my numbers added in. I'm going to add 10 along the outside of that acetate piece. It's just the perfect size to fit that there. For 11, I've got one of the panels that I had trimmed out to be the insert. It's also pretty much the perfect size just to leave a little border there on the outside. And I've grabbed my 2-inch scallop circle punch and I trimmed that out from some of the pink striped paper. I'm going to add some ATG to the back. And then I'll place that. I wanted that to actually go right to the top of my page, so I'm going to add down this white panel first, and then I'll add my half circle. I did make that slightly larger than half, just so I could fit the numbers on there. And I'll place down my 11. For my bag, I'm going to actually spell out 12. Since I have the room, I figured I might as well use it. I'll add my 13 down in the bottom corner here, and I have run out of my number ones, so in place of that I'm using one of the eyes. Gonna pull in this snowman sticker and place that down on top of the acetate. And then I'm gonna add my 15 over top of him. I decided with the glitter that was on that acetate, I should add a little bit of ATG to the back of that sticker just to make sure that it stays down nice and tight. And then I'll add my 14 down as well. I'm going to go ahead and place some of my inserts down inside the pockets. And now we'll start working on my next hinge. So for my insert here, this is trimmed to 8 by 5.5, and I've scored that at 5 inches. This is leftover from one of the Simon Says stamp kits. It is that Tim Holtz, I believe it's sort of a coppery color foiled paper, and then it has the craft on the back. Again, I will take this and line it up with my hinge. Use my pencil to mark my V and then get that trimmed out. Gonna add some score tape to my hinge. And I will get that pressed in place. For my bottom blue page, I decided I wanted to create another belly band, so I had some leftover from that foiled star paper that I used on the inside covers. And I'm just going back to look at the first one that I did. I want to try and keep that somewhat similar. So I've cut a strip here that measures 1 inch. And again, I will go ahead and add some score tape along one edge, trying to keep that as close to the edge as I can. You could fold this over into, to be hidden in the hinge if you wanted to, but I tried to keep that not as bulky, if I didn't have to have it be so bulky. Just that way I have room to add more photos and things like that, and I can let this book fill up that way. So I will pull away that backing. I have added some score tape along the opposite edge, and then I will trim off the excess. For the top folding page, I decided to do a vellum flip. So that is cut to 5.5 by 4 inches, and then I've scored that at 3.5 inches. I'll add some score tape behind there. And then I'll place that along the top. I'm going to flip that over and start thinking about the opposite side. Going to take my circle punch and get my tabs marked. For the bottom, opposite side of that bottom blue page, I decided to do another flip up panel. So I've grabbed this yellow pattern paper and I have trimmed that to 5.5 by 3.5, and I'm going to score that at 3 inches. I'll go ahead and add some score tape. And I'll press that in place. Once again, grab my corner chomper, and I'm using my 1/2 inch edge to just give a little curve there. And I'm going to go ahead and get both of these attached again to my hinge. So I will add some score tape at the top and the bottom of the shorter edges, and then along one side of the bottom edge on both of these. I'll peel away the backing, place this underneath. Oops, I almost had the wrong hinge there. Thankfully, I realized in time. So I'll go ahead and place that underneath my hinge, peel away the bottom and the opposite side, and fold that over, enclosing the hinge on the inside of my pocket. And I will do the same thing along the bottom. And that will complete our 4th hinge. So this was the point where I realized that I was going to run out of 2s very quickly as I was putting on these dates. So I am going in and adding in some additional foam letters. These are a different font, but I like the look of the way they mix together. And it's going to save me a little money on not having to buy, 3 or 4 more packs of these foam letters. I will still have to pick up a few more. I think I'm going to need about 2 more packs. But I was able to get quite a bit of stretching these using the additional. So I'm going to flip through here really quickly. I decided to sort of alternate things. So if my 4 spread has the foam letters, the flip page in the middle, I'm going to leave the snowflake letters on. So I just sort of did opposites like that as I went through. And I'm just going to quickly switch out some of these so I can get a few more of the numbers on before I have to wait for the shipment of my next packages. So there, I've gone ahead and placed down 16. And I decided to decorate up 17 a little bit. So I've added some ATG down, and I'm going to add 2 of these branches. Then over top of that, I've grabbed this star. I'm going to pop that up with some sticky thumb foam dots, but I'm just going to pop it up around the area where the branches are so I can make sure that it's stuck down nice and tight. I want to leave that top portion open so that I can still slide a photo down underneath that if I'd like to. So I'm going to have that hanging off the edge just a little bit, and I'll trim off that excess. And then right on top of that star, I'm going to add my 17. Along this copper page, I'm going to actually spell out 18. Again, since I have the room, I figured I might as well. Now at this point I realized that I was out of E's, so I'm going to make an E using one of the F's. So I'm going to go ahead and I will first put down the F. And then I'm going to grab, I think I grabbed another one of the F's and I just trimmed off a portion of the top. And I'm just going to slide that right next to the bottom there. So this, when I get my new packs, I will probably go ahead and trade this out just because I will have enough ease to be able to do that. But if you are trying to stretch your letters a little bit, this really did work very well. You can't tell unless you look really, really closely. On the back side here, I will go ahead and add my 19. And then there you'll see on the vellum, I had added 20, but again, I was worried about running out of my 2s. So I'm gonna place 21 down here, but then I will remove that 20 and I'm gonna spell out 20 at the bottom of that vellum instead. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here for today. Again, we're getting close to that 25-minute mark, but I am going to give you a quick flip through, just showing you what we have completed so far. So tomorrow we will finish attaching everything to that last hinge and then get our front covers decorated. As usual, I will have my blog post linked for you in the description below. You'll find photos there as well as measurements and links to all of the products that I'm using. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.